What's happening, everybody? You know what time it is. Here we are again, live from Lakeland, Florida. Family Chats, where sports brings the family together. My name is Freddie Rivera. I'm the father and the dad here in this triune triple threat, however you want to call it, the three guys. My son Giovanni Rivera here. Say what's up, Joe.
What's up, everybody? What's up, Facebook? What's up, YouTube? What's up, SoundCloud?
Angel Garcet, my nephew. Say what's up, Angel.
What's going on, everybody? Facebook, shout out, what's up? YouTube, SoundCloud. Let's get to it.
Hey, and as everybody here knows, we're here to talk sports again. So another week of sports, a little bit dead this weekend with the Super Bowl a week away. So we're going to talk a little bit of Super Bowl. We're going to talk a little bit of NBA. We're going to talk MLB. I don't know about hockey, as one request of my boy Kevin
Might
says
talk about
there.
golf.
We might talk about golf. As you can see, I'm ready for baseball season. So let's do this.
All right, guys. So obviously a sad week. We can't kick it off with NFL, but we will anyway because there's no games, but there's still stuff to be talked about.
They had the Pro Bowl, but the Pro Bowl's kind of boring.
No one watches the Pro Bowl. It's probably the worst NFL event they could have. Let's go right into it. This is a conversation we've been wanting to have for a couple weeks here. We've been bringing it up piece by piece, but let's get right into it. I mean, who is the greatest of all time of the quarterback position? I mean, I think it's had to be said. We got to talk about it.
Yeah, they want to talk about it from everybody's standpoint out there. I see my boy John Merklin from New Jersey. He kind of said it was Tom Brady as well. He was on your side, and he's a longtime friend. He's been around a long time, understands sports, and it's hard to fight and defend against Tom Brady not being the best with his longevity and consistency and being 40 years old and heading again to a Super Bowl. So it's hard to defend against Brady, but I'll do my best because I believe that there are some other quarterbacks in back in the day. One, Joe Montana, who was probably not the best all around, but for a long period of time proved that he was the best based on his Super Bowl performances. 4 Super Bowls, 4 wins, and he dominated in 3 of them where he had over 300 yards. I believe Joe Montana had 11 touchdowns, no interceptions in 4 Super Bowls, and just dominated some of those Super Bowls. So for a long period of time, he was the one that everybody went to as the greatest, the best, because of not only the Super Bowls, but he was so good consistently from year in and year out. Then you have, obviously, the whole Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Rodgers, you can go Dan Marino, but it all comes down to winning and performance, right? Dan Marino, one of the best, just natural gifted quarterbacks of all time that I've ever seen. You can bring in John Elway, who won some Super Bowls and was super talented, had an arm that you wouldn't believe. So he can be brought into the conversation based off stats, Super Bowl wins. And then this era with Tom Brady, obviously, and Peyton Manning. And this is where my defense of, well, Tom Brady, is hard to defend against him. I'll do my best because I believe even during his era, he wasn't even the best quarterback during his era. And I'm going to say during the regular season. Regular season wise, because Peyton Manning had better stats. He was 5-time NFL MVP. 5 times. This is during Tom Brady's era. 5 times. All right? I believe Brady only has 2 MVPs. Now, you're going to go into the playoffs. You're going to go into Super Bowl discussions. I get that. But even Peyton Manning was 3-1 against Tom Brady in AFC Championship games. So head-to-head, I can defeat Brady against Peyton Manning. And Peyton Manning leads, right, has the all-time record of touchdown passes in regular season, all-time yardage, and has less seasons played than Brady. I believe that Brady soon will pass him. If he plays another maybe 1 or 2 years, he'll eventually pass, Peyton Manning in those stats. But during the time they played, you can defend and bring in Peyton Manning into that discussion. He was that good year in and year out. Unfortunately, in the playoff times is when he didn't play his best. Even his brother probably played better than him in big games.
All right, that's enough. That's enough of that. That was funny. It was a good laugh, but for someone who is a very big Michael Jordan protector. To come in here and give us all the stats, I think is a little. How do you say that?
I don't
It's
know.
a little hilarious. I think for someone who believes that Michael Jordan is the GOAT of basketball because he has the 6 championships, to come in here and tell us that it's bigger than the championships. It's more about the stats. Then I think you should be coming in here when we talk about LeBron and Jordan, saying LeBron's going to be the best. But listen, I'll give it to you. You try to make a good argument, but
And
Tom
that's what I
Brady.
said. You have to understand. I said it was hard to argue because it is hard to defend, going against Brady. I said I would do my best, so I get it. But I do believe just, you have one in Montana that was a better Super Bowl quarterback than Brady, and you had Peyton Manning, who was a better regular season quarterback than Brady. So where does Brady fit in and all that? If I can prove to you there was one better in the Super Bowl and there was one better in regular season.
All right, here we go. Let me
Go ahead,
get in this. Let me get in this. All right. My top quarterback of all time, and he's probably even the best NFL player of all time, is Tom Brady. And here is why. Tom Brady was a 6th round pick, 199th overall. He didn't have the high expectations that a Peyton Manning or a Joe Montana or even Eli Manning had. This guy was a 6th round pick out of Michigan, where they were just saying, let's just pick Tom Brady. Like, what do we have to lose with this guy, Tom Brady, right? He comes in, and he wasn't even starting at first for the Patriots. They had, who was it? Eric Bledsoe, starting quarterback for the Patriots, and he went down Drew Bledsoe. Eric Bledsoe's an NBA player. Drew Bledsoe, and he went down with an injury, and then they brought Tom Brady in, and that year, Tom Brady ended up winning the Super Bowl for them, right? No expectations. Wow, Tom Brady just came out of nowhere, winning a Super Bowl, right?
Was that Spygate?
No, that was definitely not Spygate. And here's I'm gonna bring up some statistics here, and most of these are playoff statistics, so just bear with me. Well, actually, one of them isn't. Tom Brady. These are the records owned by Tom Brady. He has the most regular season wins by a starting quarterback, with 187.
He's played the most years.
Yeah, well, and he's the great. If
He's
durable. He's durable. He plays.
And he has the greatest winning percentage of all quarterbacks in the Super Bowl era.
There we go.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah, there we go. He has the most division titles with 14.
14.
He has the most playoff games started. Obviously, he's been in the playoffs almost every season. He's been in the NFL. He has the most playoff wins. He has the most playoff touchdown passes. He has the most playoff passing yards.
He has most seasons played. He's going to have a lot of these records. You know that, right?
Whose fault is that?
I'm just saying.
It's not Tom Brady's fault.
You got to credit his durability, though, so I'll give you that.
And you can't say because Joe Montana only played 10 years.
Yeah, he didn't play a long period of time. So you give him credit for the durability. He's 40 still in the Super Bowl. So I commend him for that. I said that. So like I said, again, very hard to not, or to defend going against him because he's still doing at the age of 40. He looks like he's 35. And if I'm going to talk good about Brady, and I can, it's just the fact that, as a lot of people point out, he's done a lot of this with not a lot of superstars around him. Constantly changing players, constantly changing, wide receivers. The only consistent players he's had is Gronk, maybe, out of all the players he's had.
I mean, you just look at it, you just say, who has he had receiving for him other than Randy Moss for, 2 years? So you look at who he's throwing to over the years, too, and it's like, this guy is in a class of his own because he's really had no stars with him through this whole journey.
I just feel like nobody even comes even close to being on his type of level. I mean, yeah, you bring up Peyton Manning, and he was the 5-time MVP, and that's awesome. He's one of the best quarterbacks of history, of all time, and there's no doubt about that. But when you look at his legacy and you say, all right, he has 2 Super Bowl wins. Okay, but
2-2.
He's 2-2 in the Super Bowl. But like I said before, he was a 1st-round pick. Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. So we expect more out of Peyton Manning, especially when you got.
How much credit do we give the coaches?
A lot.
For Tom Brady?
Yeah, if you put Peyton Manning with Tom Brady's coach and you put Tom Brady with Peyton Manning's coach,
Oh,
those
of
things
course.
change.
I mean, you don't know.
Bill Belichick.
Oh, yes, you do know.
Obviously,
Bill
you don't.
Belichick.
You do know. Hello,
Bill-
has anybody ever brought that conversation up?
Bill
If we
Belichick.
switch coaches, you put Bill Belichick, you put Peyton Manning under Bill Belichick, and you put Tom Brady on under the coaches that Peyton Manning had, does things change? I believe so.
You could argue with this with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady probably being the best player coach dynamic duo of any sport in history. You can argue with Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich. You could probably do Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson. You could probably do a bunch of teams. But when you look at Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, this is their 8th time going to the Super Bowl between the two of them. Eighth time between both of them. This is the 10th time in Patriots history that they've gone to the Super Bowl.
I mean, who has the
And
most Super Bowl wins? The Steelers. How many they had? Like 7
I think
total.
What, the Steelers?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
7 total.
7 attempts. Yeah,
And this
total.
is gonna be his.
No,
Could be
their
his
eighth.
6th.
Could be his sixth. This is where I think will be very impressive. I think the most impressive thing that Tom Brady has ever done, and a lot of you could probably agree, because he's had Super Bowl failures, right? I mean, he's really, even the Super Bowls he's won. The first Super Bowl he won, I don't even think he threw 200 yards. I think this was against the Rams. I think this was Spygate, so you had to question even that legitimacy of that Super Bowl win. So you had that going on. You had the 2 losses against the Giants when he was at the top of his game. He was 17-0 one year. Only loss of the year came against the Giants in the Super Bowl. So he has some losses that you can go back and go, man, he didn't get them through that. There was 3 or 2 Super Bowls that the first 2 that he won was the game-winning kicker. The kicker won the game. Now, I don't
Obviously,
remember them all
the
together,
kicker- obviously the
but
kicker doesn't
Brady.
kick from 85
But I'm saying
yards,
no.
so-
But the kicks were 40+ into the Super Bowl to win, so they were huge. If they miss, if he misses both of those kicks, then we're not talking about Tom Brady in the same light, because then you start talking about, well, he only has 2 Super Bowl wins and 6. You'd be comparing him to the Buffalo Bills, like, the Braves in baseball. You're constantly winning, but you ain't winning the trophy. My biggest, when I look at Tom Brady, his biggest game and what turned the tides for us talking about him being the greatest is consistency, but it's also his win last year against the Falcons and coming back from I think it was 23 points, am I right? 25 points back. That's hard to fight against, man. That was impressive. The Atlanta Falcons blew it. They had it. Tom Brady and Belichick just has something. They've won Super Bowls where you go, they shouldn't have won that game. They shouldn't beat the Seahawks down the stretch. What are the Seahawks doing throwing the ball at the 1-yard line? Why aren't they handing the ball off and winning that Super Bowl? How is Atlanta blowing a 25-point lead? Right? So you got all of these. But again, at the end of the day, if you go by stats, he's won. And he's consistent, and he gets there. So it's hard to defend against him. So as I say, I'm going to do my best to have a good show. And hopefully I'm making some points that'll help you guys. But last year's Super Bowl really impressed me. It's probably one of his best performances ever. Not only in just regular season, but in the big game.
I mean, if you're gonna talk about like stats like MVPs and blah blah blah, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady's more than likely gonna win another one this year with the stats he put up this year at 40 years old. And I'm almost 100% he's not gonna decline next year. He's not gonna go down. He's not gonna be terrible next year. So he's gonna have another chance to win an MVP next year, and he's gonna have another chance to go to the Super Bowl next year again. So it's. I mean, we're looking at Tom Brady, and it looks like he's not on a downslope. Maybe a little decline in play, but he's still around, and I feel like he's still going to be in charge of this Patriots team for maybe 3 to 5 more years. So
yeah,
he has a chance to reach all these platforms and probably hold all the records for all quarterbacks in the NFL. So
no, I agree. It's impressive what they're doing, and you look at it, 40. And that's the one thing I keep looking at. He's 40, but he still looks like he's 35, and that's super impressive. They beat Tennessee and they beat Jacksonville, and we can defend against. Really, he barely got by Jacksonville. A lot of people came into that game and said they're really not even that good. They're coming into New England and beating New England. No way. Brady's gonna crush them. He's gonna kill them. But that ended up being a close game too. So, again, this is a great discussion to have. And got to give a lot of credit, obviously, to Brady and Belichick. Best combo ever. They can't fight against. Belichick probably has surpassed all the coaches and become probably the top coach. People obviously say Lombardi and things like that, but Belichick has been so impressive in this day and age with free agency and having to constantly change and consistently stay on top with different players year in and year out is one of the most impressive things I've seen.
And I mean, you saw it. I saw Diofilito said. He said, you can't discredit Tony Dungy and what he did for Peyton Manning. Because he was obviously a great coach as well.
But Tony Dungy wasn't around for a long period of time like Belichick. Tony Dungy was only around with the New England with the Colts.
So you discredit him for that era?
No, not for the era. Not for the era. He was a great coach, but he didn't do it for a long period of time. He won, I believe, one Super Bowl and lost probably one with Peyton Manning. The other one that Peyton Manning won was with Denver. So, he won one in Denver and lost one in Denver, I believe, and he won one with the Colts and lost one with the Colts. So, Dungy was really good, but he had Peyton Manning. If Peyton Manning wasn't with Dungy, would Dungy ever have won one? I don't know. You can't, again, he got fired from Tampa because he couldn't get across the finish line. Now, Belichick got fired from Cleveland, but that was real early in his career. Once he got to the Patriots, he took off.
I mean, obviously, because once he got to the Patriots, he had who? Angel?
Tom Brady.
Oh, he had Tom Brady.
Yeah, the best of all time.
So, I mean,
So let's go down to last year. Let me give you something from last year. Let me show you how good Belichick was. Brady got suspended 4 games last year, right? Everybody remembers that? What was the Patriots' record without Brady last year? It was 3-1.
Garoppolo?
No, 3-1. Not just with Garoppolo. With Garoppolo, he was 2-0. Garoppolo got hurt, and the third-string quarterback won a game.
I mean, Garoppolo was winning games.
Did everybody remember that?
But Garoppolo's doing well with this.
And
the
that goes.
Garoppolo was like what?
7-0 with
7-0 with
49ers.
That goes to show you though
What?
that Belichick could do it without Brady.
No.
He did it with the second-string quarterback, and he did it with the third-string quarterback.
Garoppolo is going to turn into an elite first-string quarterback in San Francisco. So I don't know why you're saying.
I believe
he went
that.
1-1 with a backup.
No. Basically, what I'm saying is Garoppolo wasn't proven yet. Now, they know they had a decent quarterback there. That's why they were holding on to him. They didn't want to trade him to the 49ers. Matter of fact, that's what news were saying, that they almost wanted to keep him and trade Brady. I don't know how true all that is, but thinking of Belichick and thinking of him, if he's thinking of sticking around for a long period of time, and you look at what Garoppolo's doing, you're thinking maybe Belichick was thinking, hey, I could stay winning for another 10 years with Garoppolo. Because Brady maybe has a few more, but he doesn't have as much as Garoppolo has.
And I mean,
So
that's
another conversation.
That had to be
but
one of the hardest decisions.
it was a difficult decision.
Because
He didn't
you
want to
have
do
a
it.
quarterback at his prime, maybe a little bit past his prime.
But do you think that Garoppolo didn't learn a lot from Tom Brady?
I mean, he had to.
He has a
system and that
He is a Hall of Fame quarterback,
and Hall of Fame coach.
Hall of Fame coach. He probably learned so much from them that he took it to San Francisco, and now he's dominating over there because of the advice that maybe Tom Brady has given him, and maybe some pointers to maybe, hey, this is how you're gonna stay in the NFL for a long time. This is how you're gonna succeed at a high rate for a long time. So maybe he took those pointers from the greatest of all time, and now it's working for his own good.
Yeah, you got a point there. I mean, listen, if you're behind Belichick and Brady for that period of time, through all those winning seasons, you got to learn something. There's something that comes out of that. And the 49ers were super smart for going after him and only giving up what did they give up? A late first rounder or a second rounder?
I don't think they gave.
They didn't give up a whole lot. I mean, I think the Patriots had a better shot of getting rid of Garoppolo last year when teams really wanted him after watching him go 2-0, and they held on to him during the draft. They probably could have got some first round picks last year. I think that's one of the few mistakes that the Patriots organization made, was not getting rid of him last year, holding him through that, and not getting as much this year. But you win some and you lose some, and I don't think it'll hurt the Patriots at all for holding on to him. But great points, Angel, about that as well, because it's true. You know, when you look at Montana and the 49ers, you had Steve Young backing them up. And Steve Young, everybody knew.
Steve Young replaced him.
Right. Everybody knew Steve Young was one of the top quarterbacks, and it was just a matter of time before he got a shot. And when he got a shot, he won. He won just like we believe Garoppolo will win, and Steve Young went out and won a Super Bowl. So,
And I mean, you got to give it up to Joe Montana. He ended up leaving, going to the Chiefs, and he brought them for the first time
yeah,
to AFC Championship for the first time in like I think ever. In
Yeah,
that, in
for
that
a long
era,
time.
so.
it's true. It was hard for the 49ers to make that move. That move that probably Bill Belichick maybe wanted to make, and you know, ownership and everybody else, hard to get rid of a Brady type right now, face of the organization and what he's done for that organization. Just a tough decision, but that's a great topic. I know a lot of people tuning in have a lot to say, and we appreciate the comments. We're using some of your comments to talk about it. So,
And I mean, just give us your opinion. Who do you think was the best? I think we're gonna have a landslide in this one. Not too many people gonna disagree with us on who
no,
was the
I think
best of all
most
time.
people are on your side when you're talking about Brady. They like the points that I made, but ultimately, I think most people think Brady is the best of all time, and it's hard to fight against that nowadays. And obviously, it'll be even harder if he wins this one and continues to get to Super Bowls in the next few years.
All right, I think that's a good time to move on. You guys just let us know who's the best. So, but we have some other big news popping up, not in the NFL news, but in just football news. How about Vince McMahon on Thursday, claiming that he is going to bring back the XFL after their 1-year failure in 2001. He is planning on bringing back the, I wouldn't say rival league to the NFL because they play different times of the year, but just another football league. What do you guys think about this, and how do you think it's going to affect, just the everyday football fan?
Well, Vince McMahon is smart. He's doing it at the right time. He sees how football is slowly declining in the viewings on TV. The fan rate is slowly declining because of everything that's happened so far this year with the protesting and the kneeling, nobody standing for the national anthem, even some of the NFL rules, how the safety of the NFL players are happening now. So Vince McMahon is a smart man. He's doing this more, I guess, for the money and for the attention, kind of. I mean, look at him. He's the owner of the WWE. The WWE is $1 billion industry. So he's trying to make it a family-friendly oriented football league, so that way moms aren't worried about their sons getting injured in the NFL and everything like that. But I think this is also a good opportunity for players who have played in the NFL to say, all right, here's another opportunity for me to make some money, to go out even more, maybe like a Johnny Manziel, a Tim Tebow. I know Tim Tebow's playing with the Mets. Go Mets. But even some older players, like maybe Chad Johnson, could go into the XFL. So it's not going to be as bad. It's supposed to be safer. There's supposedly he wants it to have a faster pace than the NFL. Supposedly he wants it just to be like a 2-hour football game. So the only really way that could happen is if the time is just running on the clock, no timeouts, no anything like that. So the clock's got to be consistently running. But for the money purpose and for the way the NFL is slowly declining, I think it's a good idea. Do I think it's going to last a long time? Not at all. But for maybe a season, 2, for people just to say, all right, like the NFL, I can't stand watching the NFL because how the players are handling things and the coaches are handling things. And a lot of people don't agree with Trump, and that's a big reason why NFL is going down. So, and also Vince McMahon, if many people don't know, is very good friends with Donald Trump. So I think that might be a reason why he might be doing this XFL thing, because Donald Trump isn't really agreeing with everything that the NFL is doing. I mean, he's telling organizations to fire players, fire coaches, everybody should be gone. So this is a big topic. I don't think it's a bad idea. I just don't think it's going to last a long time.
All right, Dad, we were alive in 2001, but we obviously weren't that into football back in 2001.
We were probably like 4 or 5 years old.
We don't remember much from that time. You, though, were very alive and very conscious about sports. What do you remember from 2001? Do you remember
Well,
anything about that?
I
XFL?
remember. Well, the one thing I remember about the XFL that it just failed, right? That's basically what it came down to. Now they did get great players like Steve Young that one year, so they had players that they got from the NFL that were NFL players to play in that league. So there was quality players in the league. It kind of messed up the NFL. I think most NFL fans and football fans in general just weren't ready for the XFL back then. They kind of just felt, why are you here and why are you messing with the NFL, and these players should be in the NFL and you're messing with our league. I think now, in this day and age, Angel, you said it right, I think, and we talked about this before, Vince McMahon is no dummy. He tried it once. He's coming back because he's saying, I see what mistakes I made the first time. Let me see if I can fix that, right? If you talk to most business owners do not succeed in their first try.
Mhm.
They succeed in their second try and their third try. The problem why most businesses don't succeed the second try is because business owners don't try after the first failure. So Vince McMahon is going for it, and I believe that, as you said, it's the right time. The NFL is getting a lot of people complaining. The viewership has been down. By all means, the play on the field has been down, right? The lack of, toughness out there, because every time someone gets hit hard, it's a penalty, or they're getting fined, or they're getting suspended, and you can't touch the quarterback. These are things that we growing up loved. We loved the hard hits. We loved the ability of just going out there and smacking someone. I get the fact that why the NFL has stopped it from concussions and things like that, just trying to be more safe, but they have dummied down the NFL, and people not only have stopped watching because of the political part of it, but they've also have lost interest in just the play on the field. And so maybe with some changing of rules, the XFL can come along and make some different changes to make this a little bit fun, a little bit entertaining. Who knows? They're looking to have, just so everyone knows, they're looking to start with 8 teams, 40-man rosters, 10-game seasons that begin in January, so not long seasons, 2-hour game time goal, right? And any player with a criminal record precluded from playing. So you got a criminal record,
right.
You can't play. That's basically what it says.
Yeah, he's trying to make it a safe league.
Yeah, he wants to make it. You got issues off the field, you're not going to play. Players won't receive forums to take personal stance on social issues on the playing field. Say that's a big part of what he's trying to do. He's just trying to keep it to be football, fun. I'm sure they're going to do something that's creative, fast play. Who knows? Maybe a little bit like arena football, if anybody's seen that. But I think it'll take a long time before the XFL can become successful. The NFL is still a very, very powerful organization, and it's just going to be hard to see it be very successful. That's just my thought. But he's smart in bringing it in January because the NFL's ending.
Well, that's what they did last time.
Yeah. So, but I think by that time we're ready for something else, anyways. So.
Let me put it this way: Vince McMahon is doing exactly what he did to the WWE. He's making it, I don't know, like kid-proof. He's making it child-friendly.
Entertainment. It's more for an entertainment type of.
I don't know, because would you say the WWE is more entertaining now, or back when we were watching it, dudes were flying all over the place, bleeding all over the place, and there was all these crazy concepts and crazy storylines? I don't know, because back in my day, I loved to watch it, but I mean, if I watch it now, I probably couldn't follow along. But all I'm saying is that he's trying to make the game a little softer, because I feel like with the last time he did the XFL, he did it rough, and it was like, oh, there's going to be more hard hitting, and there's going to be less rules, and there's going to be all about this. But then the play turned out on the field to be terrible. No one wanted to watch because it wasn't fun to watch. He thought that if you made it more rough and less rules, that people would be more interested. But the fact is, the people want to watch is good football. Yeah. So, I mean,
we like watching. Unfortunately, it's true, but we like watching high-scoring games. We like watching people get in the end zone and scoring.
Yeah.
So defensiveness, right? If you got a defensive game, it becomes boring sometimes. So I don't know what they're looking to do. We'll see. Would I watch? I don't know if I would watch. I mean, I might be intrigued a little bit, but
I mean, we'd have to
I'm now what you call a casual fan, right? When it comes to that, I love watching football on a week-to-week basis. I might do a little fantasy. I love watching the Cowboys play because they're my team. But, you know, am I just going to watch football just because football is on? No, I'm not going to watch a preseason NFL game. So if the XFL becomes a preseason type, I'm probably not going to watch.
I think
Aaron. Hold up. Let me answer a question real
Yeah,
quick. Aaron, I do not think they will script out the football games. I think that'd be very hard to do.
Planned outcomes like wrestling.
He would need some actors and not football players. But go ahead, Angel.
I think for the only way this will work out and maybe be some type of success is that if he gets a lot of NFL players that really didn't last too long in the NFL, like some big names that we've heard of, like of Johnny Manziel, Tim Tebow, guys who are NFL ready players that
Good point.
and could go to the XFL and bring even more players. And I think it could be also another opportunity for college football players who get overlooked and don't get drafted or maybe not even signed as a free agent to say, all right, listen, you can't make it to the NFL, come over to the XFL, and maybe this could be sort of like a minor league for baseball type of thing.
That's the way I see it.
Listen,
I don't think it's going to be a huge success, though. I feel like it's not going to last a long time if he doesn't do that type of stuff, getting former NFL players in it.
if Vince McMahon was smart, he would get this league, he would form it, he would do all the branding, and he would sell it to the NFL. Because the NFL is missing one thing that the MLB and the NBA have. It's minor league teams. I mean, the rosters are so big, and there's so many injuries, and there's so many young players who don't get playing time, who might just need some more time to develop in a minor team. So, I mean, I don't see why this league could turn into a minor league for the NFL, and they could have multiple guys playing in the minor league basically situation and growing and developing and maybe one day brought up to the NFL team. That way the XFL could go from a 10 or an 8-team league to 30, 31, 32 team league like the NFL has.
Yeah.
So
I don't think. See, that's the problem. I think that the rosters would be it'd be hard to fill rosters
huge,
for another 30+ teams. You do have the ability of saying what you said, right?
it's not hard
It can become a minor league system, right, for the NFL, and it depends what college people want to do and how they were going to fund it and so on. But I believe that's the way it would be the best viewed, to be almost like a minor league system, or you use it and then those players can choose to go into an NFL draft, so to say, where it's not competing with XFL, where the XFL has to hold them or they're under contract with the XFL only, right? That might work, but who knows? Time will tell. We'll see.
because there's already two big things of football. You already got college football and you already got the NFL. So it's hard to really come up with the third league because there's already two top watched football leagues already going on. So it's hard to, I would say, bring a third. But they are doing it to where it's in January in the spring where there's no football. So that's probably the only thing that they have the advantage on right now because college football and the NFL obviously play at the same time.
And when you look at it from a business standpoint, the reason why Vince McMahon wants to come in is because he wants a piece of the pie. And the NFL is probably the richest organization out of all the pro sports in terms of the amount of money they're generating year in and year out. And he's thinking, I don't want all of it, but I want some of it, and I can get some of it. When you look at college football and the money they're generating, the sport of football is generating the most money out of any sport anywhere. And I would probably believe more than even college or soccer across the globe, which is huge. But I believe football, if you combine the NFL, you combine the college football game, combined, they probably have the most revenue out of any sport that we have.
Yep. Okay, so that was a good conversation. XFL, it's happening in 2020. We'll see. We'll obviously see when the time comes. It'll obviously die down here in the next year, but we'll see it come up, the conversation again. All right, I think it is time for this week's Hot Takes, I think we should switch the name to Hot Chats or something so that we're not...
Give us some idea. Hot Chats or Hot Takes? What do you guys think?
Or something else.
Give us some feedback on what you think sounds better on Joe's...
Hot tamales. Hot socks. All right. So basically the question this week, we went over the Super Bowl winners last week. But let's go a little more specific. Let's go into the Super Bowl MVP. Who do you guys think will win the Super Bowl MVP?
Well, I picked the Patriots to win the Super Bowl. So if the Patriots do win the Super Bowl, it's going to be Tom Brady. It's just plain and simple. I mean, he's the guy. They're going to put all the attention on Tom Brady. Now, we know that Gronkowski came out with a concussion in last week's game. So supposedly he's going to be back. He's going to be fine.
He should be back.
He should be back. But Tom Brady is going to be the MVP if they win the Super Bowl. Now, if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, their top player is going to be Nick Foles. He's been the player to watch for the Eagles in this playoffs. He's filled in great when Carson Wentz went down, and he's brought him to a Super Bowl. And like we said, the Eagles got a chip on their shoulder. Nick Foles is trying to prove a point that he is not just a backup quarterback, but he's an elite starting quarterback that could compete for any other team if he was on their team. So I think you give it to the quarterbacks and for both teams, honestly. Like whoever wins. So that was just my opinion.
Listen, I put it down like this. If the Patriots win the Super Bowl, Tom Brady will not be the Super Bowl MVP. It just seems like when he gets to the Super Bowl, someone else always has a winning play, or someone on the defense always has that game-winning interception. I just don't believe that Tom
kicker
kicks a field goal. I just don't see that Tom Brady is going to be the MVP. I mean, he probably will play like an MVP, but I feel like someone else is going to have a shining moment. I don't exactly know who, because it's hard to pick. I would pick someone on the defense more than offense. I feel like it could be a cornerback more than Tom Brady. And if the Eagles win, I put Nick Foles will be the MVP, because Nick Foles has to play out of his mind to beat the Patriots. So the only way the Patriots or the Eagles are winning is Nick Foles has to play at an unreal level and lead his team to beat the Patriots. So there's my pick. I put either someone on the Patriots defense is going to steal the show, or Nick Foles is going to win the game and somehow beat the Patriots.
My take on it is that most times quarterbacks, right, either a quarterback or a running back, is usually the NFL's MVP when it comes to the Super Bowl. It's very rare you get defensive players. You've had a few in the last few years in Von Miller and Malcolm Smith for the Seahawks. So you do have, defensive players that have come through and gotten that. I believe the Cowboys had, in the 90s, had one of their defensive backs, got 2 interceptions, and, that the Steelers threw right at him. But you could be right with Foles, right? Foles has to have, I'm not going to say a great game, because I believe that this is going to come down to the Eagles' defense shutting down the Patriots' offense. If they can do that, they'll have a shot to win. But Foles will have to score points. The Patriots in the last 2 games haven't scored more than 24 points, and they've won both games. So I do believe that the Eagles do have to get on the board, and they do have to score at least 3 to 4 touchdowns to win this game. They have to score 25 points or more to beat Brady. I believe, at least. But the key is going to come down, I believe, to the Eagles' defense. They've been up to the task. They've played very well. But ultimately, I believe that the chances of a defensive player getting it over the quarterbacks is minute. It's either going to be Brady, right, or Foles. Who plays better? If you're going to be a bet man, you're going to go with Brady through, just based on his experience. But you're right, Joe. I think if the Eagles has a chance to win, Foles has to kind of play a game like he did last week in order for the Eagles to have a shot. So,
all right, let's go into one last Super Bowl chat before we're talking about who won the game. All right. So, obviously, we picked last week. We picked who would win. I think I picked the Patriots. Angel,
I picked the Patriots as well.
Dad, you picked.
I think you picked the Eagles.
Terrible choice. But let's see if we're all still on board with the teams we picked. Because obviously we made a couple rash decisions right after the game.
I'm still with the Patriots. They're the best team, and they've shown that they've been the best team for the last 7 years almost. They've made it to the Super Bowl. They made it to 7 AFC championship games in a row. This is the 8th time in Tom Brady, Bill Belichick era that they've made it to the Super Bowl. They've made it to the Super Bowl as many times as the Cowboys have made it to the Super Bowl, just between Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. And even the Steelers and I think the Broncos, I want to say, is another team that made it 8 times. So just between those two players, they have just as many Super Bowl appearances
Anybody else?
as franchises do.
Yeah.
So let's not doubt that Tom Brady and the Patriots aren't going to show up. They show up every time. Even if they start off slow, they pick it back up and they show that they're still the best team out there. So I'm still going with the Patriots. I predicted the score to be 31-28. So I'm sticking with it.
Listen, I'm gonna run this down for you guys. I'm gonna tell you exactly how this game is gonna go. It's gonna play out exactly how I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna say who won. I'm not gonna say who lost. But this is exactly how the game's gonna go. One team, it's gonna be a pretty close game. But one team is gonna run away with it a little bit towards the third and the second quarter. All right. It's gonna be about a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter. All right. The other team is going to come back and win the game. That's how it's going to go down. That's how it always seems to go down in these Super Bowl games. It always ends up being a Super Bowl Cinderella ending. Now, who's going to win that game? I don't know. I'm picking the Patriots, but I don't think the Patriots are going to be down most of the game, but, I mean, it's very likely that they could be, considering they were down most of the game against Jaguars last week. So I'm thinking it's going to play out just how it went out last week with the Jaguars, and I think it's going to be the same mold for this week, where the Eagles have a nice little lead going into the fourth quarter, and Tom Brady is going to march on down the field and score a couple times, and Bill Belichick is going to give his defense steroids to where the Eagles won't score in the last 15 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Oh my God! Listen. I picked the Eagles last week because they just keep winning too. And not only winning, but the Eagles were underdogs at home against the Falcons and the Vikings. Maybe 2 better teams than the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans. In my eyes, I think the Eagles had the rougher road to the Super Bowl, and last week's victory over the Vikings was super impressive, right? Brady, they just win. Nothing impressive, right? The Tennessee Titans had a couple of refs beat them or help them, But again, I believe there's 2 things why I think the Eagles. I just think it's their time. One, they continue to play the road dog, right? They're going to be underdogs again, and they're just living it up and loving life, being the underdogs. Nobody's believing in them, and they're just running with that theme. But I believe they have a better running game than the Patriots, and they will run the ball. Because they have to, because they need to keep the time of possession and the ball out of Brady's hands. And their defense isn't bad. And they beat the tough Cowboys one time this year. So if they can beat the Cowboys, they can beat the Patriots.
Anybody can beat the Cowboys. Anybody can beat the Cowboys.
All right, I'm joking. I'm a Cowboys fan, all right?
The Cowboys beat Nick Foles.
It's true. They beat the Eagles 6-0. But after that, the Eagles haven't lost. I just think it's the Eagles' time. They have a better running game. They will run the ball well. Their defense will play well against Brady. They'll make it tough. Will they win? We'll see. But I'm going to stick with the Eagles and the underdog. So
listen, Jason,
for a Cowboys fan, couldn't be worse Super Bowl than you could have. The Patriots, who you don't want to win anymore, and the Eagles, who's the most hated rival in the division. So for Giants fans, probably the same thing. You couldn't have a worse Super Bowl than the Patriots and the Eagles.
Jason Hernandez, answer your question. The first Super Bowl I remember watching was Tom Brady losing to the Giants with the helmet catch. That was the first Super Bowl I remember watching. The
Giants winning.
The Giants beating the Patriots with the helmet catch.
Yeah.
That was the first Super Bowl I remember watching. I mean, I probably watched them, but that's not what I can remember.
That was the Eli Manning coming back. Flavio remembers that pretty well. So just John Merklin and a few guys on Facebook. One question we have here from my man Dwayne Price from Atlanta, Georgia. Do you think the refs won't show up for the Super Bowl?
Oh, no, they'll show up and they'll be ready to win the game for the Patriots. They'll be celebrating in the end zone once again. Once Tom Brady complains about a hit and they run over real quick and ask him what happened, and then they'll throw the flag. So
there you go.
Listen, if anybody has any questions about the NFL and the Super Bowl, just go ahead and ask us right now. so we can get this topic over with. We're about ready to move on to the next topic. We think majority here think the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl.
Hey, give me your predictions, guys, online. Do you think the Patriots or Eagles? We just want to get your feedback on who you think will win the Super Bowl. Obviously, you have two Patriots or people who think the Patriots are going to win. The young guys, I'm going to give it to the Eagles. We'll see.
And this sounds bad, but I'm a Jets fan, and I'm going with the Patriots. So you guys could go with the Patriots too. Don't worry. I know they always win, so you guys could go with them as well. Don't worry.
All right, let's move on.
Will Coach Bill retire?
Jason Hernandez from Orlando, Florida asked,
Billy
will
Belichick.
Bill Belichick retire after this?
No,
No.
he won't. These coaches last until they're about 87 years old nowadays. So he's going to be around for a long time.
I
He's
don't
the
know
best.
about a long time.
I think he's got a while
If
until
they
he
lose,
retires.
there is a 65% chance he beat. Or I'll give 45.
No.
45% chance he quits.
No.
If they
He won't
lose.
retire.
No, there's a 0%
There's
chance
still a
that he
50
retires.
I don't know,
He
man.
still loves what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he
I think-
he does. He still loves what he's doing. If you hear what they say about him, he just lives, eats, and breathes this stuff, and he looks forward to this. After the Super Bowl last year, I heard the next day he was already talking about planning for this year.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, him and Tom Brady will most likely retire together.
If you want to know how excited Bill Belichick is about his job, just look at him on the sideline when they score a touchdown. That just shows everything, all right? So that's how much he loves his job.
I don't think he's ready to retire, but I do think that if it gets to a point where he sees Brady leaving and he sees that he doesn't have a chance to continue to win or doesn't have a backup that can come in and replace him, like he had with Garoppolo, I think he'll consider it more then. But he might also want to prove a point that he can win without Brady. So who knows?
That won't happen. That will not happen. Yep. Bill and Brady will most likely walk out together. All right. Great NFL talk. I think we're about ready to switch into the good old NBA. Lots of good stuff
How
happening.
many NBA fans do we have out there? Any
Probably like-
NBA fans?
Probably like
Basketball?
negative NBA fans. But
Hey, basketball's fun to watch, man. Basketball's fun.
Listen, a guy like me, and I know some guys out there, Flavio and Merklin, who are my age, an NBA isn't as fun as it used to be. So I don't watch a whole lot of regular season games like I used to. Love watching the playoffs and getting into it in the playoffs, but I don't watch a lot of NBA regular season like I did back in the day. I thought it was a little bit more fun. I think it was a lot more team oriented back in the day. So you're interested in the NBA? Let us know.
all right. So Angel, go ahead and lead us with our first topic on the NBA.
All right, here we go. So, a big topic we've been talking about lately has been LeBron James and the Cavaliers. They haven't been playing very well. They're 4-10 in their last 14 games, which is unlike LeBron James and the Cavaliers that we've seen in the past. So, here is our question that we will be debating. And if you guys on Facebook want to comment too, go ahead and comment. Here's the question. Should LeBron James leave Cleveland if they don't win the NBA Finals this year?
All right.
Should he or will he?
Should he leave Cleveland?
Okay.
I'll answer this first.
Hold on. Let me
you wanna
make
go
sure
first?
everybody. No, I just want to make sure everybody has
Let's
the
hear it.
question, right? Should LeBron James leave Cleveland to another team if they don't win the championship this year?
Listen.
Go ahead, Joe.
My answer to the question is, I have kind of a two-part answer. If he wants his legacy to be as great as it possibly can, no, he should not leave the Cleveland Cavaliers. If he wants to win a championship, maybe win multiple championships, then yes, he should leave. And he should go to either the LA Lakers, probably,
No.
or, give me a second, or the Houston Rockets. Those are the only two places he would probably go.
All right.
Okay, and your reasoning behind it?
Why?
Yeah.
LA Lakers, because, listen, he has a house in LA. His wife loves LA. Who doesn't like LA?
Yeah, true.
LA has a young team that's getting ready to switch into a winning team. And the Houston Rockets, obviously, they have James Harden and Chris Paul. They are good without him, and he could prove something in the West. So, I think with that James Harden, Chris Paul, LeBron James trio, they would win the championship so easily.
Angel, go ahead.
All right, I'll go. Like Giovanni said, will it mess up his legacy? Yes, probably. But if you think about it, his legacy was already messed up in some people's eyes when he left to go to Miami. So his legacy, he's already made his legacy. He's already one of the greatest of all time. If you could put him in the top 5 right now of all time, just based off his statistics and what he's achieved in the NBA.
Two.
So
all time.
let's not go off of the legacy right now because he's already earned that. He's already a future Hall of Famer. He's already top 5 all time, most likely. So let's go off what everybody judges LeBron James on, and that's winning championships, right? He left Cleveland to go to Miami. He's won 2 championships over there. He came back to Cleveland. He did what people didn't expect him to do, and he won a championship, and he beat the 73-9 Golden State Warriors.
Greatest record of all time.
This is the best regular season team of all time.
All time.
Right?
Best regular season record, not team.
No,
because they
best
didn't win a
regular
championship.
season team of all
They
time.
didn't win a championship.
Not the best playoff team.
Jordan's team had the best record, and they completed it by winning a championship.
All
They just
right.
had the best record.
All right, we're not talking about Jordan today,
We're not.
right?
We're not talking
about Michael Jordan.
We're gonna leave that in the retirement home today.
Yeah. So
For all the
Michael
old
Jordan,
people that
Michael
we're
Jordan's
talking
out the conversation. But like Giovanni said, will it ruin his legacy? Yes. But we just see how the dysfunction is going on with Cleveland right now, and the way Isaiah Thomas is approaching things and approaching Kevin Love, saying stuff about him when he was sick, and that he's being a little baby and he doesn't want to play. Isaiah Thomas should have no say in what the Cavaliers do. You should have no say. Kevin Love has been there for 3+ years now. He's won a championship with them. Isaiah Thomas, you're still on the back burner, okay? You're like the 3rd string to say anything on that team. So I don't even want to hear it. But here is my prediction of what LeBron will do if they don't win a championship. He will leave Cleveland again.
Wow.
And he will go to the San Antonio Spurs.
Why?
I'm going to tell you my reason why.
There's no connection.
Yes, there is a connection.
No connection.
Yes, there is. Ready? Here we go. They have a superstar right now in Kawhi Leonard. But Kawhi Leonard, what people have been hearing, wants out of San Antonio.
What?
And the reason for it is because they can't attract any major superstars to that team. Yeah, they have LaMarcus Aldridge, but then who's the next best superstar? Pau Gasol? Tony Parker, the rookie point guard? I don't know his name, but supposedly he's going to be a good player in the future. And they beat the Cavs the other day. I know the Cavs defense has been terrible, but let's just think about this. Kawhi Leonard wants to stay in San Antonio. He wants to stay there. And he wants to attract a superstar. They have probably one of the greatest coaches in NBA history in Greg Popovich. And if you think about it, LeBron James has never played for a Hall of Fame coach before in his career. You think about Michael Jordan, he had Phil Jackson, Hall of Famer. You think about Tom Brady, like we talked about before, he has Bill Belichick, Hall of Fame coach. All right, yeah, LeBron controls his team. He's the coach, he's the GM, he's the owner. Who cares? He's not. He's a player, all right? He's the small forward for the Cleveland Cavaliers, all right? He has no say in anything, really, if you think about it. So, LeBron James should go to San Antonio to keep Kawhi Leonard there, one, because he's a young player. He plays defense. He's been a Defensive Player of the Year. He's been a Finals MVP. LaMarcus Aldridge is an All-Star. And if LeBron James goes there, that's just going to be icing on the cake. The Spurs are still winning without Kawhi Leonard right now. He's injured right now. So they're still 3rd or 4th in the West, if you think about it. And they don't even have their best player. And they're still 35-13 or whatever. They have a better record than Cleveland.
Well, let me give you my opinion.
Listen, let me answer one question that someone asked. Is it about the money? No, he's going to be a billionaire.
He's been taking pay cuts for so long.
Another
It
question
won't be about the money. It's about the
by
championships.
Juan Garcet from Lakeland, Florida. He asked, name another player in the NBA that has his number retired and never played for that team. Only the GOAT Jordan, where the Miami Heat has retired his number.
Well, Juan Garcet from Lakeland, Florida. We're not talking about Jordan today.
Well, let me go off of what other people are saying. right? LeBron's a coach killer. The fact that this conversation is happening is a testament to LeBron's lack of character and his form of lack of leadership. Now, I must agree to some of that because that's our gripe. Jordan stuck it out. You just didn't do this back in the day. You just didn't go from team to team.
Jordan
just
stuck
because.
it out. He did because I think he retired twice. So
He
I
did.
don't know what he stuck out.
That's what happens when you win 3 championships in a row and you get bored. You want to find something else to do. And then you come back and you win 3 in a row again. And guess what happens? You retire because you got bored. So you're so good that you just go through the competition. No, it's not baloney. It's just what happened.
Maybe
He
Jordan,
got bored. He was so good that he got bored. But let's go back to the question: will LeBron leave? My response to that is he shouldn't leave. He needs to stick it out in Cleveland. He's good enough to put players around him to win anywhere, right? He just needs a few pieces even in Cleveland. I believe that Cleveland can still turn it around this year. We said a few weeks ago that this is the same league we watched for the last few years. LeBron struggles through the regular season, doesn't care much about the regular season, whether they're first or second or third, it doesn't matter because he'll go and he'll beat anybody in the East. The East is not strong enough. LeBron can win on the road against these teams, and that's happened. We still believe that LeBron will be in the finals this year. I still do. Why? Because the East isn't that good. The East has never been good while LeBron's been in the East. All the tough teams are in the West. So will he leave? I don't know if he'll leave. I think he should stay, but I wouldn't doubt it. If he left, I wouldn't be surprised.
Read what John said.
John, let's see, Merklin from New Jersey. Jordan left out of frustration with the org, not the lack of winning. He suffered mightily with Chicago for the first 4 to 5 years.
All right, why did LeBron leave the first time?
Frustration.
Frustration, probably not winning, but the organization was not good, and he didn't like the owner. And now he's going through the same stuff again with the ownership again, where it feels like they're just not doing everything they probably could to win. And Jordan,
That's baloney right now. Come on. You
No,
know,
you
they
think about it.
brought all these players. Anything LeBron's wanted, they've done. LeBron runs this team. LeBron is the general manager. LeBron is the coach. Yeah, because if LeBron says this coach has got to go, guess what? The coach is fired. Am I right? LeBron is running this organization. If LeBron says, I don't like this GM, guess what's happening? The owner's going to say, GM, you got to go. We're going to replace you. That's the problem with this NBA, that the players have more power than the coaches. The players have more power than the GMs. And LeBron, the player of his statue, has that type of power now. Why? Because he can leave next year. So the owner doesn't want him to leave. He's going to do everything he wants to do that LeBron wants to do just to keep him here. If LeBron says that coach has got to go, he's gone. If LeBron says you better trade that player is gone. And I believe that is a lack of his integrity, that happens in this league, but he's LeBron, right? So now everybody's like, yeah, that's LeBron. He can do whatever he wants. The frustration part is okay, but you can't tell me this ownership hasn't done things to bring the right players to this organization. They traded a great first-round pick to bring in some players.
Well, if you think about it, the Cavs have brought guys in for LeBron. Yes, they have brought guys in. But they're not bringing in the right guys. They're bringing in guys like Dwayne Wade, who's 36 years old. They're trading away Kyrie Irving for Isaiah Thomas, which was the stupidest trade Cleveland could have ever done. And first off, Isaiah Thomas doesn't even want to be in Cleveland. He's complaining that Cleveland isn't giving him enough shots, that the defense in Boston was better. You're talking about Boston in every interview he has. Go back to Boston then if you hate Cleveland so much. That's what I would do if I was the owner. I would be like, listen, take Isaiah Thomas. And if you think about it, there were so many people that the Cavs could have traded for, young, good players, such as Paul George, who was on the Pacers last year, who was in the East, who Cleveland could have gotten for a trade. They could have gotten Eric Bledsoe from the Suns, that they traded him to the Bucks, I'm pretty sure. They could have got him as a point guard instead of Isaiah Thomas.
Let me ask you guys something. Why is Kyrie Irving on the Celtics?
Why? Because Kyrie didn't want to play with him.
Supposedly, this is what I've been hearing. Kyrie Irving was he supposedly threatened the ownership of the Cavaliers, saying that if they didn't trade him, that he was going to go and get surgery on his knee or something like that was messed up at the time. That's why Cleveland had traded him. So Cleveland's saying to themselves, well, if this guy's going to threaten us and go get surgery and not play the whole season, let's just give him what he wants and trade him away.
Let me tell you, that statement of Kyrie Irving leaving to go to Boston and requesting to be traded says so much about LeBron's leadership than anything I've seen. Because when Jordan was playing, guess where every free agent wanted to play? They wanted to play with Jordan. That's just truth. You wouldn't have found Scottie Pippen wanted to leave anywhere, and Scottie Pippen and Jordan didn't get along. This is something you guys don't know. Scottie Pippen and Jordan weren't buddy-buddy every year because Jordan had a tough leadership stance. He was tough, and he demanded a lot out of the players around him and sometimes rubbed the players the wrong way, like Scottie Pippen. But Scottie Pippen was smart enough to say, this guy's the leader, and I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving this guy. We winning championships.
So
Basically
what's
what
wrong
I'm
with
saying
Kyrie?
is Kyrie Irving winning a championship with LeBron in Cleveland and then demanding to leave
Let me ask you
says a
this.
lot about the leadership of LeBron. How do you let that guy go?
No.
That's the reason why you won a championship.
Let me ask you this while you're doing this. Is it more about the players in this era wanting to be superstars now and wanting to have their own legacy and not wanting to be the side player? Or is it more about back in the old days, oh, I'm winning championships with Michael Jordan, I'm going to stay? Or is it more about the players now are a little more cocky and they want to win championships
You
by
think they're
themselves?
selfish is what
I think
you're saying.
I think the players
Selfish?
nowadays are more selfish.
No, here's why I don't believe that. Because LeBron went to play with two superstars in Miami. So it's not about wanting to be the best. LeBron is proof that he can go to Miami and not be the go-to guy because that was Dwayne Wade's team. So he didn't go over there because he wanted to be the man. He wanted to win championships. Houston got players getting together, right? CP3. He went over there not because he wanted to be the man. He thought going to Houston was the way to go to have a better chance of winning the championship. Right? Durant did not go to Golden State to be the man. He was the man at OKC. He went to Golden State because he said, I need to go over there to win championships.
He's a cupcake.
So again, no. What I'm saying is I'm proving
Durant is a cupcake.
I'm proving your argument wrong. It's really not. These guys make a ton of money. They got a lot of superstar, right? The camera's on all of them. They don't need the money. They're getting it. What they want is the rings. Durant proved it. CP3 proved it, right? All these players are proving it. They want to get to teams with other superstars because they know they have to play with other superstars to have a chance at winning or better chance of winning.
So
And
tell
that's
me
why.
this. Why are no superstars flocking to Cleveland? Why don't they want to? Is it LeBron? Is that it?
Says a
They
lot
don't,
about
they don't
LeBron.
want to win with LeBron? Why do they want to win with players who've never won before instead of winning with someone who's
But
won?
like who? Like Kyrie? Because
Like
Kyrie's the only one
CP3
that
going
left.
to Houston to try to win with James Harden. James Harden has never won before.
Right.
CP3 has never won before.
I just think it was
why
the
are
best-
these teams? Why are they getting together?
But because I don't think he had a chance to go to Cleveland because wasn't Kyrie going to be there when that happened? So he just thought the best
They
place
didn't
to
need,
go.
a,
was
they didn't
out.
need a point guard.
They didn't need a
They
point
could have
guard.
traded Irving for Paul. That was this offseason.
Maybe, but I don't think it was CP3's doing of
I'm
not
saying
going.
it
I
was
believe that
CP3's
CP3 had a chance to go play with LeBron. He played with LeBron.
I think that Kyrie wanted to stay in the East, and that was the other problem too. That he wanted to stay in the East, so that way he could show people, I don't need LeBron. I could beat LeBron on my own. So that's why the Cavs ended up trading him to Boston, so that way he could end up staying in the East. So that way, in case they do meet in the conference finals, he could say, I took LeBron out, and now he has no chance of winning because I'm the best. I'm the best player in the East, and I have the best team in the East. Don't think that's going to happen. I think Cleveland will go back to the NBA Finals again.
Someone said
Right.
Jordan makes his teammates better.
He did.
LeBron doesn't make his teammates better?
There's.
LeBron's a
Listen,
better playmaker than
Then why
Jordan.
isn't his team getting better this year?
Because of
Basically, is what they're
defense.
saying.
Because
I
they're
think
lacking in defensive-minded players.
They have
All they have is shooters and garbage shooters at that. And guys who can't even
Jordan, you know,
rebound.
here's how Jordan made his other teammates better. He didn't talk about it. He went on the court and did it. He worked harder than anybody, and he demanded the other players do the same. So he demanded through his leadership, not through his cockiness. Not saying if you don't do this, you're going to be gone. If you don't do this, I'm going to get the GM to fire you. Players around Cleveland are nervous right now because they believe that LeBron does not have their back. When someone asks LeBron, what do you think about the coach? Is he safe? What do you think about players being traded? LeBron didn't have anybody's back. He said, I don't have nothing to do about the coaching. I can't talk about the coaching. It doesn't matter. He could have said, listen, I got the coaches back. It's my problem. We'll turn this thing around. We got the right team. We can turn this thing around. He didn't say none of that. He literally threw the team and the coach under the bus because he could have protected them and he could have supported them by saying, I'm the leader. This falls on my shoulder, and we will turn this thing around. We got the right players here. We just need to fix this thing. He didn't say none of that. And that's why I believe players are now backing up. That's why you see Cleveland getting worse, because there are guys there that believe that LeBron don't have their back. So now they're starting to say, I'm backing up. You on your own, brother. I'm going to play, I'm going to go out there and play, but I'm playing for me. I ain't playing for Cleveland. I ain't playing for you no more. So I believe that's what's happening with, right, the guard as well, right? He's just, you know what? I'm trying to get better for me. I ain't doing this for LeBron. Where before, if LeBron would have just said, this is my team. We got this. We're struggling a little bit. We're going to get on the right train. We're going to get on the right track, and we'll fix this thing. He didn't say that, man. He threw them under the bus, which shows his lack of leadership. Now it shows why players are talking about leaving and maybe going somewhere else. That's why I'm saying these types of things, these little things might not be on the stat board, but it's showing it's part of the leadership, and this is why they're crumbling.
Flavio, would LeBron be able to play in the 90s style basketball? Yes, LeBron probably would have been one of the biggest human beings back then.
That's a good question, and I
think he would have been perfectly fine.
We talked about that. Would LeBron be able to play back then, and would Jordan be able to play now? Right? I believe they were both so good that they both would have still excelled in any era. Right? They were that good. LeBron, in that era, because he was so big, he could have handled a lot of the toughness that was going on back then. Jordan would have excelled even more now because the league is soft, because the league is not as hard as it was back then. Jordan would be better. Scary to think about it, but Jordan would be better now than he was back then because the league, you can't touch it like you used to. The defense is a little bit harder than it was now. Personal fouls, all of that. This league is a little softer and it's a run and gun type league, so I think Jordan would have probably done a whole lot better now, probably scored more points and excelled more now than he did back then. But I think LeBron would have still been successful back then as well. Good question. Anybody else?
All right, let's go into the next topic real quick, unless you can see any other questions. Would you say they are tougher players in this era or the 90s? Obviously the 90s. There was the refs weren't as soft? It wasn't as soft.
No, it was just a tougher league.
There was more
harder fouls.
You're gonna tell me the refs weren't as soft now? You talk and you get a technical foul.
I'm just saying
who
that
the other day was talking the other day and just got a technical foul for talking.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the league.
A lot of players.
I'm saying the league was a tougher, more physical league back in the 90s.
Is it the toughness or is the toughness that's allowed?
Yeah, both.
Because there was a lot more.
Yeah, it was a lot more allowed back
then.
then.
In the 90s.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. It was both. The rules were tougher back then. You can hand check defensively, which meant it gave defenses an advantage because you can put your hand on their hips. Where now you got to put an elbow. That's changed now. So the defense from that standpoint is a little softer now. Back then you could touch more. They let you be a little bit more rough. And if you brought it to the hole, you would be knocked on your tail back then, and you wouldn't be fined or you wouldn't be thrown out of the game, things like that. So definitely a good question. And definitely the 90s were a tougher era of basketball.
All right, let's jump straight into the next topic, all right? Obviously, they did the NBA draft. We did our NBA draft. We came pretty close to the All-Star Game draft. I think we had a couple here and there where it was off a little bit, but me and Angel came pretty close. Let's just ask the question. Who has the better All-Star team? Is it Curry or is it LeBron?
LeBron has a better team. Obviously, we saw DeMarcus Cousins go down with an Achilles tear, so now he'll be out for the rest of the season, which not only hurts the All-Star team, but it hurts basketball, it hurts the Pelicans. This is the best center in the league. So obviously that hurts LeBron's team, but they do get a good player in Paul George, so now he's going to be in replace of DeMarcus Cousins in the All-Star game. But let's just look at LeBron's starting five. He has Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, LaMarcus Aldridge.
No.
Not LaMarcus Aldridge.
It's Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and one more who we don't obviously know because Cousins got hurt.
It's Paul George. He's replacing.
He's not going to be the starter though because he wasn't even on the team. So obviously they're going to have someone
who's
else
going to be the
start.
starter?
I think they'll probably have Porzingis start.
Yeah, maybe.
Could be.
True, but LeBron still has the better team, in my opinion. So that's my opinion.
I mean, when you ask the question who has the better team, you have to ask what you're looking for. LeBron has the bigger team, the more physical team, but Curry has a team full of shooters, and that's exactly what they do in Golden State. And guess who wins a lot of games out in Golden State?
That's a good point.
He has a team that can shoot the lights out with DeMar DeRozan, James Harden, obviously Curry, Antetokounmpo can shoot, and he has Joel Embiid at the center position.
What team do you think will play a better team style ball with the players they have on their team?
With the amount of players they have on the team, it's definitely going to be, I believe, who will play better together.
Yes.
That's
Who
hard.
will play better together?
I
believe. I probably. If
And
you ask me,
it's Curry's team.
yeah, I believe it's Curry's team too, because you're gonna have. Well, you have LeBron. LeBron's right. He likes to pass the ball and obviously get everybody involved. But when you have Durant on the team, he's looking to be the MVP of the All-Star game, and he can be. But he plays on Golden State. His mindset has changed since he's come to Golden State. He does distribute the ball a little bit more than he did when he was with OKC. So it can go either way. I think it'll be fun to watch. You got stars on both sides, and the one All-Star game I think I love watching besides the MLB is the NBA. Even though sometimes I think they don't play enough defense, but just the superstars on the game's always been fun to watch.
Question: does this hurt or help the NBA All-Star game?
I think it helps him. I think this is fun. I think the new drafting was cool. In my opinion, it's not just all right. The best from the West play the best from the East. I think now these guys are getting a chance to play with guys they haven't never played with before. Like we said before, the All-Star game isn't serious. Nobody plays defense. It's a dunk contest and a three-point contest, shooting, whatever you want to call it. So this is fun. I think this is fun for the fans. I think next year they should do the draft live. I think that'd be really cool to see, just to see who got picked first. I mean, it would stink if you get picked last and you were one of those
They
players.
should do it like the NHL, because the NHL had the same type of All-Star draft, but they gave the last person who got drafted a new car. So whoever got drafted last got a new car.
Yeah, how do you make the NBA All-Star game count? Kind of like the MLB. Do you do anything to change
I don't think
the
that-
It's hard.
competitiveness of it?
It's hard because you don't want to give it to you. It's the MLB, how they did the All-Star game where you won the home field advantage. I think they took that away, right?
Yeah, they finally
They took it
did take
away.
that away.
It's I don't know. It helps the game for intensity wise, but the players just don't want to go as hard. So I mean,
I just don't
And
think.
they do. When it gets down to the end, don't be fooled. We watch some All-Star games that gets down to crunch time, and the players start stepping it up and they start playing harder towards the end. Right during the middle of the game, the beginning of the game, they're just back and forth, just having fun. But as it gets towards the end of the game, they want to win, and you can start to see it being a little bit more competitive. So the NBA has to think about how can we make this game more competitive throughout the entire game, right? And whether it's putting a prize out there.
they got to give the MVP something.
Yeah,
Or the winning team.
The winning
team total.
I think the winning team. I think maybe they do something to charity, right? Most of these players have charity organizations
I don't
that
think that would
they can
motivate them
donate to. It might not motivate them, but it'll give them a reason to play harder for that. Something that's going to drive them to play harder to win. I think for each side would be fun. Any suggestions on what we can do, what the NBA can do to make the All-Star game more competitive? Let us know what you think.
Yeah, I just don't think the All-Star game should determine if you get home advantage first couple games
in the finals.
In the finals, because most of these players aren't even going to be in the finals. So, and now that they did the draft, so now there's multiple players from the East and the West on one team, and et cetera, like on the other team. So it doesn't really matter now, like who wins. Like it should just be for fun. Like these guys are all-stars. They deserve to have this type of moment to just say, I'm an all-star. Let's just have fun with other all-stars that are here. Experience playing with other people we've never played with before. So it should just stay with the fun.
Yeah.
So
Not a bad. What I love about the All-Star Weekend is probably more the slam dunk contest and the three-point shooting contest.
Even though the superstars seem to not be interested
Well,
in those.
LeBron's never gotten into it, right? And I think once LeBron didn't get into the slam dunk contest, it took away from maybe Durant joining the slam dunk contest, because back in the day, the one thing about us guys in the 90s was that we looked forward to the slam dunk contest because Jordan was going to be in the slam dunk contest and Dominique Wilkins was going to be in the slam dunk contest. So you not only had the best dunkers in the slam dunk contest, but you had the best players in the slam dunk contest, and it was competitive. Jordan didn't want to lose the slam dunk contest. Trust me. Dominique didn't want to lose it. So it's fun to watch some of these young guys because they've had some moves the last few years that's been phenomenal. It's been fun the last few years watching some of these dunks. But sometimes it gets boring because you see a lot of the same dunks. The creativity loses its flair. But I think overall, it's still fun to watch the three-point shooting contest and the dunk contest.
Now, while we're on this topic, who do you guys think was picked last? Let's
for LeBron's team?
No, for total. So I think it had to be LeBron. So who was picked last? And it's had to be someone on LeBron's team.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say Porzingis. I think he was the last pick. for
Hell
LeBron's team.
no.
So you think that
Who was
Porzingis
picked
was the
last on
last
this
pick?
team?
LaMarcus Aldridge was probably picked last.
No, are you kidding me?
You're gonna pick
Maybe.
LaMarcus Aldridge over Porzingis? Porzingis
Yes.
should have been a starter. What are you
LaMarcus
talking
Aldridge
about?
should be a starter.
You're drunk. You're drunk on the
LaMarcus
air.
Aldridge should be a
You're
starter,
drunk.
and he's probably going to replace DeMarcus Cousins.
Pull up the stats.
He's probably
Pull
going
up
to
the
replace
stats
DeMarcus
right
Cousins.
now.
He's probably going to replace
Pull up the
DeMarcus
stats
Cousins.
right now. If you think, everybody vote right now. Who was picked last, Porzingis or Aldridge?
I would even say Bradley Beal. He stinks in the fourth quarter.
Doesn't
I
matter.
don't even know how is he an All-Star? He stinks in the fourth quarter. He can't make a shot.
All
LaMarcus
I know
Aldridge
is that
over
Spud
Porzingis?
Webb was 5'6", and he won a dunk contest back in the
We're
day.
not talking
too.
about the dunk contest. We're talking about who was picked last.
All right, now who was picked last on
man.
Curry's team?
Who was the second to last pick? You know, more
Al
than
Horford.
likely, no.
Al Horford was definitely picked last.
No.
Al Horford.
You're gonna tell me on a team that has two centers,
Who you think?
three centers, they picked.
He says Horford. Who says Horford?
I say
Al
Kyle.
Hor-
I say Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, that's a good one. I did not
I
say
say
Kyle
Lowry.
Lowry.
Why would Curry pick another point
That's
guard?
true. He probably was the last pick.
He might have been. Yeah, I could agree.
All
with
right, let's move on to another subject. What's the next topics that we have here to discuss? We'll move on from the NBA. We'll continue from week to week talking LeBron, Jordan. It's a fun conversation. There's a lot into it. LeBron is giving us a lot of fuel to our Jordan GOAT, fight here because he lost by 25 2 games in a row. I don't think Jordan ever won lost by 25.
All right.
All right.
We
No,
get it.
yeah.
We get it.
All right, let's
The NBA sucked back then. It
let's-
wasn't as good as the NBA now.
All right.
That's what you're saying.
Why are you guys upset? I'm just pointing out some things.
We
that
know what
happened.
you're saying,
all right.
but it's not right.
Let's move on from LeBron and the NBA.
Jordan never lost. He went 82-0 every year. We know.
LeBron, Jordan's never lost in his career.
72-10.
All right, here we go. Let's
What's the
move
next
on.
topic?
Let's move on to baseball.
I'll go ahead and say it.
yeah.
The-
Baseball. I need baseball fans. Let us know what you think. Obviously, we're big baseball fans. You can see I'm ready for the year to happen. It's probably our favorite sport as the three of us combined. What do you guys think about the MLB? Give us your feedback. What do you think?
All right.
Are you MLB fans?
Let's dive right into it. The Hall of Fame was recently inducted. You had Vladimir Guerrero, Trevor Hoffman,
Chipper Jones,
and Jim Thome elected into the Hall of Fame. Now, with that, we obviously had some people who were left out. Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, again, not getting in. But we had one who was very close, and will probably get it next year. But how do we feel about Edgar Martinez not making the Hall of Fame this year?
It's a joke. It's an absolute joke that Edgar Martinez has to wait another year and his last year on the ballot for the Hall of Fame. Why is it taking him 10 years for, if they say Edgar Martinez is probably the best designated hitter of all time, and he's still not a Hall of Famer?
I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you right now why. Because the DH is a position where you sit on your ass and you have 4 at-bats a game, all right? Listen
So
to
is
me.
David
listen to
Ortiz
me.
not a Hall of Famer?
David Ortiz has better stats than Edgar Martinez. Let me tell you this.
So-
Edgar Martinez retired with a .312 batting average. Okay, it's above average. It's good. It's a good batting average. 309 home runs. That's that's not Hall of Fame home run wise. That's not going to get you in Hall of Fame. He had 1,200 RBIs. That's good. You know, it's cool and all. Not going to get you in the Hall of Fame. His stats, the only stat that gets him into the Hall of Fame right now is he is one of two players. He is one of two players that has 300 batting average, 400 OBP, and 500 slugging. That's the only thing he has. He's only one of two players to do it.
To ever do it.
To ever do it.
That right there just shows his dominance.
That's
as a
the
player.
only stat that gets you into the Hall of Fame.
Okay, but we can't penalize him for being the designated hitter if that's a rule that the MLB has. So
I'm just saying it doesn't get you, what he did.
Listen,
as a total.
I agree with Angel. DH is a position, and if you are considered the best at that position, then you deserve with the stats that he has, because you can compare his stats to people in the Hall of Fame and say he has better stats. You understand that, yes, most of the time he didn't play defense, but that's not his fault. DH is a position, and understanding so that Big Papi will be in the Hall of Fame as a DH. I don't know if they're waiting for him to qualify to get him in first, but Edgar Martinez before Papi was the greatest DH of all time. So he deserves to get in. We don't penalize other positions. This is not NFL with the kicker not getting enough credit. It's a shame that the Hall of Fame voters don't see that and they discredit DH position just because they don't like it.
Esteban says Edgar Martinez should get in, but he won't be put in until they get in Papi.
Esteban Vega from Lakewood, New Jersey. Thanks for tuning in, dude.
Yes, thanks Esteban for tuning in. But here's my response to that. Next year is Edgar Martinez's last year on the ballot. David Ortiz won't be in the Hall of Fame ballot next year. So
it's either that year or nothing.
Either he gets in next year or he doesn't get in at all. And you can't. This is my argument about this too. In the American League, they just gave out the Best Designated Hitter Award, which is called the Edgar Martinez Award. So how can we name an award after somebody and he's not even in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
That's like naming the Cy Young Award and Cy Young's not in the Hall of Fame. So why would we name?
Should be called the Big Papi Award.
So why would we name an award after somebody that is not giving enough credit to be a Hall of Famer, and it's taking him 10 years to be in the Hall of Fame?
All I'm saying is that his stats aren't mind-blowing. If there's anything about that stat line that makes you say, wow, he should be a Hall of Famer, you haven't watched baseball.
Well, listen.
The Hall of Famers that you see are like 325 to 330 batting average career, 500 home runs, over 1,500 RBIs, and you're like, wow, he should be in the Hall of Fame. He played really well. He didn't have over 3,000 hits. The new stat that just came out, WAR, wins above replacement, he was one of the tops of that era in that stat, so that probably puts him, he was a two-time batting champion, and he was a 7-time All-Star and a 5-time Silver Slugger. I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but I think if he didn't get in this year, he'll get it next year. I just don't think he fit in this year. There wasn't enough room. There had to be people who had to vote for some people that they could keep him on the ballot.
That's true.
It wasn't the time of the year, and I think it's going to get harder next year because there's going to be more people who are going to be Hall of Fame eligible next year.
No, I think it might get easier. I think the one guy that's a no-brainer is Mariano Rivera to be on the ballot next year. But I do think Edgar will get in next year. He didn't get in this year, but every year his percentages keep rising. So he got to 70%. Every year more people are voting for him because they do see the quality stats. They also see that in the 3 postseason series that he played in the playoffs with the Mariners, that during that tenure, he was the one carrying the team. He was clutch in the playoffs. I believe he went 21 for 48 in those 3 series. He batted almost 440, right? In those series in the playoffs with 5 homers, 17 RBIs in 13 games. And he also had a game-winning hit to carry, obviously, the team into the next round against my Yankees. So I remember him clearly being a great hitter, not only in regular season, but when it came to the playoffs, you did not want to face that guy. And the guy that I'm saying next year, Mariano Rivera, will be eligible to get in the Hall of Fame. It's funny that this is going to happen. They're going to get in the Hall of Fame together. And the one guy that Mariano Rivera said he hated to face, and this is the best closer of all time, it was Edgar Martinez. Because Edgar Martinez hit Mariano Rivera darn good.
Well, we don't give out Hall of Fame awards to people who did good in the playoffs. We have to do it.
This is the problem with the
all
Hall. This is the problem with the Hall of Fame and why Edgar Martinez wasn't getting in this year. Each national baseball writer who votes players in has a maximum of 10 votes each, and most of the time these guys don't even use all 10 of their votes.
So no, they do, but they just
No.
vote. They vote for people who they want to keep on the ballot.
No,
Because you see some people who voted for Hideki Matsui. You see some people who voted for players who they just might have wanted to see get
that's
another
true.
chance.
but that
They just
okay.
don't vote for all the no-brainers.
Okay, but then why vote?
Yeah.
Then why vote? If you're gonna have the privilege to vote in Hall of Famers, then why wouldn't you use all of your votes? Why are you only using 6 of your votes when you have 10? Use all of them. Give these guys opportunities to get into the Hall of Fame. Now these guys have to wait and see if they're gonna be in the Hall of Fame because you don't want to vote all 10 of your votes. Like it's a joke, honestly. Like how baseball is with the baseball writers and them voting in. Like, and most of the time, like they think like they walk around and like, yeah, I don't believe he's a Hall of Famer. So now you don't believe he's a Hall of Famer. So now he's got to be pushed on the back burner because of your opinion.
It's true. And what do you guys, Israel Rivera from Jackson, New Jersey, believes that eventually he'll get in. Shout out to him in New Jersey. Thanks for watching and plugging in. Stephen Morris, from my boy from New Jersey, also says he just was a pure clutch hitter. And he was. So that we recognize and we believe he will get in next year.
He'll get in next year.
Now, what do you guys think about talking Bonds and Clemens? Because those were the other guys that were just not only besides Mussina, who's I believe in another year or two Mussina will get in as well. But what do you think about the Bonds and Clemens? I believe their votes almost stayed the same as the year before, or even got a little bit worse, which would probably make those two guys nervous to think, will they ever get in? They didn't improve. They didn't get any votes.
Listen, Barry Bonds is the best hitter of all time. There's no doubt he should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't see why. I understand they see PEDs, but there was probably plenty of players using PEDs before him and after him. So I just don't get it to why they have to hold it against some players and not hold it against other players. I think Barry Bonds, just the best, probably one of the best MLB players of all time. Probably the number one. The dude could flat out hit bombs. I just don't understand why he can't get into the Hall of Fame. Roger Clemens was one of the most dominant pitchers of that generation, probably one of the best pitchers of all time as well. So it's just, to hold it against them, it sucks, but it is what it is.
How about you, Ames?
Yeah, I think they're both Hall of Famers in my opinion. I think the reason why they went so low this year was because there were so many good players on the Hall of Fame ballot this year that they wanted to try to, like Giovanni said, they wanted to try to keep around for a while. Like Omar Vizquel, nobody thought he was going to get a lot of votes, but he ended up getting 37% of the votes. So he's going to be around for a long time. And like we talked about before, not all of these voters use all of their votes. So that hurts their percentage. So like I said before, if you're not going to have all your votes taken up, then don't vote at all. Don't waste some of these guys' opportunity because you don't want to use all of your votes. And the thing with Barry Bonds is that they never tested Barry Bonds for steroids. I mean, they did test him, but it never came back that he was using steroids. So how can you just go judge a player saying, oh, he probably used steroids because he played in the steroid era and he hit 70 home runs in a season? Maybe he did take steroids. You never know. We will never know if he took steroids or not. It never came back that positive that he did or proof that he did. So we can't penalize him for taking steroids.
You talking about Bonds?
Yeah.
I think it's with the whole, Balco situation. It was pretty clear the evidence that they got that he was involved in it. I think the same thing with Clemens. Even though they didn't fail drug tests like the Palmeiros, like A-Rod, that A-Rod didn't even fail tests either. They found information. He finally admitted to it. But there were players that did fail drug tests, and that's unfortunate because they had a list. And this is where I hate it because they had a list of about 100 when they were trying to change the whole steroid era. They had a list of about 100 players that they said failed, but they made an agreement with the MLB Players Union that they would not let any of these names be known. They'll talk about it. They'll change the rules. This was part of the agreement. But they would not release any of the 100 people's names on that list. A-Rod's name got leaked. Right? That's what happened off that list. And that's what's frustrating because he got leaked and then Big Papi's name got leaked that he was on that list.
His name was on the list,
and
but
then
they
he
never
defended it.
Yeah.
He defended it. And now people are saying, hey, he didn't fail and he'll get in the Hall of Fame. So there were people whose names, my whole thought was, listen, if you're going to let A-Rod's name be leaked and a few others, expose the whole list. Because we don't need players that are on that list eventually getting in the Hall of Fame, and then players like A-Rod and Barry Bonds and Clemens being held back after the fact. So that list is crucial for me to allow them either in or not. But I'm like the rest. They broke the rules. They knew they broke the rules. I hate that they broke the rules because it's an era that is frustrating because as a baseball fan, sometimes we don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I want to just talk the games. I want to talk pure hitting. The fact that Barry Bonds hit 70 home runs, he still had to put the ball on the bat and swing and connect for 70 home runs. Now, did steroids help? Absolutely, it's going to help. It's going to help endurance. It's going to help at the end of the year when fatigue kicks in. So, those things, yeah, he probably would have hit 55. He might have hit 60 that year. He was still going to hit home runs, but would he have hit 70? That's the question. So
now let me answer somebody's question. Someone said, I think it was John, I think he said Barry Bonds doesn't think he's the best hitter of all time. Now, for someone who hit almost...
Well, he said he hits the most home runs, not sure about the best hitter.
Okay, well, someone who has almost 800 home runs, more 2,558 walks, 1,000 more walks than strikeouts, almost 2,300 hits. I'm just gonna go ahead and say he was the best hitter. But let me go by this. The Hall of Fame right now, it sucks the way they do it, but it all works out because you give these guys the votes. Obviously, I feel like they should make a rule where you have to use all the votes because that obviously hurts guys. But it makes sense that you have to vote. You have 10 votes, and sometimes you can't vote for someone that's automatic because you think, okay, this guy's going to get in. I'm not going to vote for him. I'm going to vote for someone who I think won't get in, but I feel like he needs to stay on the ballot. Just the way it all works.
It's frustrating.
It's frustrating
the
the way
process.
it works.
It is true. Esteban Vega from Lakewood, New Jersey says, problem with the Hall of Fame is that these, quote, biased, right, sports writers, if they don't like you and the players didn't give them the time of day, they won't, right? They'll hold that against you. Yeah. And it's true. We can go back and look at stats of Albert Bell, who had a 10-year period that was dominating. Albert Bell was, I think, the first player to hit 50 homers and 50 doubles in 1 year, and then almost did it again a second time. I mean, Albert Bell was feared. He was on an Indians team that was fantastic. His stats, he was getting 140 RBIs every year, 40 home runs. He was dominant. But because he was a jerk to a lot of the sports writers during his time, he was a tough cat to obviously to get close to. He frustrated a lot of his teammates, and he just wasn't a friendly guy to be around. That they held that against him, and he's not even on any of the ballots anymore. He should be in the Hall of Fame. It's crazy. So Esteban has a point that these guys, they'll use their own what they believe. If you said something wrong to them during your career, they'll hold it against you. Things like that. Players. Some players, like say Derek Jeter. When Derek Jeter comes and becomes a Hall of Famer, no one's ever got 100% on their first year. There are players we can think of that we go,
Babe Ruth.
There's players we can look at, just like Chipper Jones this year. We can say, that's a no-brainer. Who voted against him, right? Who were the guys that did not vote Chipper Jones into the Hall this year? Who were the guys that didn't vote Vladimir last year? Who were the guys that didn't vote Tomey this year, right? They got 90%. They got 80-some%. Let's expose those that didn't vote for him. And these are the guys that shouldn't be voting. Because some people are no-brainers to get in the Hall.
But that's what these baseball writers think. They're no-brainers. So why would I waste one vote that I could use for someone who I would want to keep on the ballot and vote for this guy who's automatically going to get in? Some guys think like that. Obviously, no one is ever going to get 100%. Someone's going to vote against Derek Jeter one day.
Here's a question.
One day. No one's ever going to get 100%.
Here's another question with the Hall that John said. How many guys are in the Hall of Fame that might have done steroids already? and they never got caught.
Probably a lot.
Do you think there's a lot? I don't know if there's a lot.
I don't say
Probably
a
a
lot,
lot.
but there's probably a majority of Hall of Famers that are in there that may have used steroids that just never got caught, and they did a good job. Honestly, it sucks that they're in the Hall of Fame and
They're using that butt rub that Barry Bonds is using.
And obviously,
That maple rub on your butt. when they
Obviously-
get home runs.
obviously it stinks that they got away with it, and if they did get away with it, then they're gonna be the ones that are gonna have to deal with that, knowing that
I don't
they did
think they have any
cheat.
problems.
I don't think they have a problem with it, but they're gonna, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
they know in the back of their head saying, I had to use steroids to make me a better player and make me a Hall of Fame player. So we can't really do anything about it. They're in already. They can't take it away from them. So
Listen, they were probably drinking that Michael Jordan secret juice back in the day. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, some players got caught, some players didn't, some players admitted, some players didn't. So I just
So Chad Blackwell from Manchester, New Jersey, thanks for tuning in. He states that until baseball tests every player before every game, it's all nonsense. I don't condone, quote or unquote, cheating. So he doesn't condone it doesn't agree with it. But he believes Bonds hits all those home runs on the field, and he's a Hall of Famer. So thanks for the feedback. Stephen Marsberry grew up in a baseball locker room with his dad, surrounded by all players like Mays and McCovey. All he ever wanted to do was be the best baseball player ever. He definitely used it. The enhancements, just like players used this amphetamines in the 60s and 70s, I feel for him. He doesn't have a likable personality, and he's being judged by all the writers. Because of that, he was far the best hitter in the era period he should be in. So John Merkland, come to think of it, I don't think any lineman in the NFL takes PEDs.
yeah, they do. It's just called eating pizza and cake, and that's how they get so freaking big.
So yeah, but great comments. Thanks for the feedback, and we agree. I think it's a great. This is one of these conversations that won't go away. There's great arguments on both sides. Where does integrity come in? If you knew it was illegal and you did it, then you have to pay for the consequences. This is where Hall of Famers like Joe Morgan are, talking about it and disagree with it. It's not about not doing it. It's about the integrity of the game. If you allow this to happen, when do the rules not continue to expose more players that are trying to cheat as we go along? These players nowadays are getting paid millions. You look at Melky Cabrera, got caught, didn't matter, took his suspension, came back, somebody signed him for 4 years, $50 million. It's like, you can't win because the MLB is still paying players after the fact.
Is the Hall of Fame that where you're not gonna live a good life and you're gonna try to make a life somewhere else, or are you gonna do the time, get caught but still getting paid because you can still play?
Right. Here's a few questions from John, so you guys tell us real quick. The real question: should it be allowed? Right. And since it cannot be policed, or is it not at least policed effectively? So, is it accurate? Do you think that it should be allowed, or do you think that right now the testing is improved?
Listen, the testing it's
it's
improved, but it's still not effective enough
Not
where you
perfect.
can get everybody to stop.
Yeah, I agree, but I think it's improved to a point where you got
You're scaring people.
who's the guy from the Mets, the pitcher, Mejia? Mejia failed 3 times.
He's out.
So there's players failing more than once. So it is working.
Listen,
you got players like Braun getting caught, and great players. So you can take the risk if you're a player.
The rule should be you get caught once, you're out. But the problem is some of these guys are like, oh, I didn't know I was taking it. I didn't know I was doing it. I didn't know I was taking it. My
Yeah.
trainer gave it to me. Blah, blah, blah. I thought it was okay. That's the problem. You can't just kick these guys out because maybe some of them are telling the truth. Maybe some of them don't know what they're taking.
Maybe it's some of
It's like it's hard to just say one and done. Like you can't come back, can't get paid no more. But I mean, one day you're gonna have to say like either you do it or you don't. But on that note, let's move on to our last topic. All right, we've been doing this over the week. The best two players at each position. This week we're gonna go over the catchers and the pitching. Who's the best
Starting
catchers
pitchers?
and who's the best starting pitchers? So, I think we might have a disagreement in this one. Obviously, we know the top 2. Everybody might know the top 2, but Angel, what do you think? Who is your top 2 catchers right now?
my top 2 catchers.
Start with number 2.
All right, we'll start with number 2. The number 2 is Gary Sanchez, and the only reason I am putting Gary Sanchez at number 2, he's a great hitter. Obviously, he's probably the best hitting catcher in the game right now. And I think Gary Sanchez can be one of the best hitting catchers that we've probably ever seen. Maybe it's the best since maybe Mike Piazza. That's how good I feel Gary Sanchez could be. He could hit over 30 home runs. He could hit over 100 RBIs. The average could get better. I mean, he hit 280 to whatever it was last year. 278. So the guy can hit. The guy can flat out hit. We have no argument with that. I have no problem with his bat. The issue is his catching, his defense. You can't be called a catcher and have the most pass balls in the league and not catch the ball. That is your position, is a catcher. It has the word catch in it. Please catch the ball. And I will put this example here. When the Yankees played the Astros in the playoffs last year, and Altuve was on first base and Chapman was pitching, Correa came up with a big double in the gap that Altuve ended up scoring all the way from first. And if you look at the relay, if Gary Sanchez would have caught the ball, Altuve would have been out by 50 feet. But he can't catch the ball. He had the most pass balls in the league. And like basic one-hoppers that are easy routine balls that professional. He's a professional, which is at the highest level. He should be catching the ball. And that's what holds me back from putting Gary Sanchez at number one.
Who's your number one?
Do I think Buster Posey is the number one catcher still in the league? And he proves it year in, year out. Obviously, his power numbers weren't great last year. He only had 12 home runs, had like 60-something RBIs.
Terrible.
It's not good. But you got to think, this is the catcher. Catchers really haven't been always the offensive type of players on their team.
Buster Posey always has.
Buster Posey has been better. But the Giants stink last year. They did stink. But the average was good.
So it gives him a free pass to stink?
The average was good. He hit over 300 last year. He had over 400 on base percentage. He still was very good defensively, and he's still the best catcher in the league. I think once Gary Sanchez finds a way to be a better defensive player, then we could put him at number one. But until then, Buster Posey is still the best. He's an MVP. He's a 3-time World Series champion. He's a Rookie of the Year. You can't put this guy behind Gary Sanchez, who's only played 2 seasons so far. Yes, he's number 2, and I agree with that. But he's got not with you because you're going to put him 1. I already know. But he's got to be better defensively. You can't catch the ball and be the number one catcher if the word catch is in your position.
Let me go real fast. I'll be real fast. Listen, Gary Sanchez hit 20 more home runs than Buster Posey. His average was a little less, and he also had like 30 more RBIs. And you can't say, okay, he had a lot of pass balls. He needs to work on something. But he did throw out almost 40% of base runners last year, which is really good. So, I mean, there's some games of the area that he needs to work on, but I still feel like that where you can put him in the 3-hole and 4-hole and you can count on him to produce some great numbers, hit home runs, drive in runners. I still feel like that is more... I wouldn't say more important than catching the ball because also you need to call a great game, which I feel like Buster Posey is better at. But I feel like he's still young and he's still working on it. So I feel like it's going like this. Buster Posey's going like this, which is down, and Gary Sanchez is going like this, up. So I think this next year, if he will be the better player, and everybody will agree that Gary Sanchez will be the better catcher by the end of the 2018 season, Angel will agree, and we will get him on camera by the end of the year saying that Gary Sanchez is better.
So both of you agree that Posey and Sanchez are 1-2. Obviously, you disagree. Which team? John is asking me which baseball team do I support. So there's no bias here, John. I am a Yankees fan, and I agree with points from both. And Chad had some good points he threw out there, which is funny.
He said lucky to be top 4 or 5.
Right, but he also understood that Sanchez has some improvements to do behind the plate, calling the game, right, catching. Yeah, you just can't have certain pass balls that are automatic. I totally agree with that, but the pass balls were not that big of an effect on the games as his offense was. You're right, Joe, that Posey is on his downslide because if you look at Posey's stats last year, he had more at-bats than Gary Sanchez last year. And amazingly enough, from a production standpoint, Posey being the run producer on the Giants, he only had 12 home runs, which was, when I started looking at that, that's really surprising. If I was going to guess what Posey did last year, I would probably guess he had more than 20 home runs. He only had 12 home runs, and he had 67 RBIs. Now, Sanchez had 33 home runs and 90 RBIs. So a huge swing from the middle of the lineup hitter, which gives Gary Sanchez a huge advantage when you're talking to me about who's the best catcher. Because if I'm going to look at Buster Posey's numbers, then I'm going to go and say, you know what? I'm going to put Yadier Molina in front of Posey based on offensive numbers and defense, because Yadier calls a great game, still can throw guys out, and his offensive numbers were better than Posey. Yadier Molina had 18 home runs and 82 RBIs compared to 12 and 67 by Posey. So Posey had a better average and a better on-base percentage, but you're a middle-of-the-lineup guy. You need to drive in runs, and he didn't do it. So to me, that drops him down, and even to a point where I might put Yadier Molina up there at 2 behind Gary Sanchez based on the production offensively. So I'm going to say yes, Gary Sanchez had that good of a year offensively that I put him first because he threw enough runners out, as Joe said, almost 40%. His arm sometimes made up for his catching, the lack of catching that he had this year. And it will improve. You know it's going to improve. The team and the organization is working on him all off season. And even Gary Sanchez knows that he has to improve in that category. So for me, not that I'm a Yankees fan, but I believe Gary Sanchez, if he isn't the best catcher right now, he definitely will become one of the best, because I also like the Cubs catcher too. Wellington Castillo.
Listen, if we go by
great young catcher.
Contreras. Castillo's the Cubs. Listen, if we're going by wins above replacement, Sanchez was better than Posey.
Who cares about wins above replacement?
Well, if you replace him, they would lose more games. So,
okay, but you got to look at the team. Look at the team from last year. The Yankees ended up making it. They were one series away from going to the World Series. The Giants were the worst team in baseball.
So that gives you a pass to suck more. That doesn't give you a pass to be worse.
Okay, well, if you're gonna hit in the middle of the lineup and you can't get your leadoff guys on, then you can't get as many RBIs. If you have
all I'm saying is that Posey has hit 20 plus home runs before, and it's not foreign to him. So why is he hitting 20 home runs?
When he hit 20 home runs, the Giants won the World Series. They had a way better team.
It's true. Esteban posted that yes, Posey had no protection in the lineup, which is true. Nick Perna, my boy from New Jersey, thanks for tuning in, says Posey is past, right? And his past was prime. Sanchez, though, is weak on defensive side. Sanchez is a better player at this point with a much bigger upside. Chad says upside doesn't equal to top 2. Don't confuse your question, which is who are the top 2 catchers right now.
Listen, if we were to draft right now, if all 3 of us were to draft, who would you pick to be your catcher right now?
That's true. That's a great way of putting it. If you're going to draft a catcher
who are you picking
to your team right now, you had a choice of all the catchers. Are you picking Posey first, or are you picking Sanchez first?
Or anybody. Who are you picking first?
Who's going to be your first pick? Let answer that question for everyone who's tuning on. If you had a pick of any of the catchers right now to be your catcher on your team, who would it be right now?
And if you don't pick Sanchez, you're a bad GM because he's old and his numbers are declining. He's a great leader.
I'm talking about Posey. Posey's old or getting old.
He's like 32 years old.
He's going to be playing more first base.
Not at all. What do you mean not at all? He's 32.
He made his rookie year was in 2010. We act like Buster Posey's been in the league since 2005.
Look up his age. He's a catcher. Catchers age faster. He's like 32 years old. Sanchez is like 25.
Okay, so if you wanted to put Buster Posey at 25 and Gary Sanchez at 25,
that's not what we're doing. If we were doing that, of course Posey's gonna be better, but they're not. He's not 25. He's 32, and Sanchez is 25.
Somebody said they would draft Sanchez Grandal, right? We haven't even talked about Grandal from, I believe, the Dodgers.
Yeah, Grandal's
someone said obviously picking Sanchez first. Vegas says lineups help, obviously, when you have Sanchez with the lineup.
He didn't have Stanton. He didn't have Stanton. He had Judge.
That helps as well.
Judge hit 50 home runs.
It's true. Sanchez does have let me say that Sanchez. You would pick Sanchez because you know who he's surrounded by, right? The Judges and Stantons and the Yankees getting better. you know he's going to have a much better season because he got a lot of guys around
Listen,
him.
we'll
to
see
protect
this
him.
year who's better because the Giants have gotten better and the Yankees have gotten better. So we'll see.
So, yeah,
Obviously, the
that's
Giants
true.
lineup is not as good as the Yankees, but the Giants have gotten more help around Posey. So we'll see at the end of this year who is the better. Now let's move on to the pitching before we lose track of time because we're almost at 2 hours here.
All right. On to the pitching. Top 2 pitchers. I'll start with
This
that.
one's easy.
Yeah,
This
I think
one's
it's easy.
So
For
we're not
me
even gonna
right
debate
now,
this for very long.
and the number 2 might be a debate. Obviously, I believe we're all going to agree that Kershaw's the best pitcher.
Correct. So we don't waste time on that one.
And number 2, right? And I don't know if you guys agree with this. Just based on what he's done the last few years, Scherzer would be the number 2. So, are you on the same page? Obviously,
It would
we
be.
can bring
It
up.
would either be Scherzer or Kluber.
We can bring up Syndergaard. We can bring up
No,
Scherzer.
you can't bring up
we can bring
Syndergaard.
up. I'm talking
It would be Kluber or Scherzer.
Kluber, and you can bring up Sale and
You can bring up Sale, not Syndergaard. Syndergaard, he's good, but he
top
doesn't
2
hit that
starting pitching is what we're talking about now, and we're all on the same page. We believe Kershaw's 1, Scherzer's 2. With that being said, what do you guys think? Top 2 pitchers in baseball right now. If you disagree with those 2, let us
Now
know.
to answer, let's answer Jason's
Jason.
questions quick.
Hernandez from Orlando, Florida. Jason, thanks for tuning in. Does the Major League Baseball Association need to speed up the game? Or are they losing the younger generation because the game is slow?
I think that does have a problem with losing the younger kids because it takes a while and there's no time clock or whatever. But baseball doesn't need a time clock to speed things up.
Baseball will never die.
I
So.
think we got to think baseball is 9 innings. You play 9 innings, the game is over. It's not like you need 15 minutes to go through 1 inning. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so I do think a lot of people do think it's boring because it does take a while. But the issue, I don't think they need a clock to rush the players. I think they need to limit the timeouts in certain innings, limit the catchers going up to the pitchers, and having those type of meetings. And if they want to put a time clock on that for 30 seconds, then okay, you could do that. But to put a clock that says, "All right, you have 1 minute to get ready," what? Like they're sitting in the dugout for most likely 14, 15 minutes if the team has a good inning hitting wise. So they need to warm up again. They need to get their body loose again because they're sitting down for so long that I don't think a time clock should be.
But it's true.
in
I think that the generation now, as John Merkel says, has a low attention span. Everything is, they want everything quick. They want everything now, and they do get bored much faster.
The thing is,
everybody has ADD nowadays and can't, focus on a game that's 3 hours unless you're a baseball purist. You do lose some of the fans during these games. But I do believe Major League Baseball can do a few things, as you stated. I believe the amount of times a catcher can go to the mound is one of the biggest things. The second thing is getting in the batter's box and hit it. Right? To me, if you speed those 2 things up and you avoid having guys step out constantly, cleaning their batting gloves, I just think they waste a lot of time doing those 2 things more than anything else. And I think MLB will try to do certain things. They're not going to try to change the game much. Instant replay has been pretty good, but kind of like some of the other sports,
needs to be faster.
they're replaying everything. A bang bang play a second and the guy's foot just barely came up. They're reviewing. Really wasn't intended for that, but there are some things that need to be changed, and I think MLB will be doing some of those.
Like John said, baseball purists will remain. Obviously, baseball's never going to die. People who love baseball for what it is are never going to go away. There's always going to be a certain group of people who love the way the game's played. But the thing is, maybe the game needs to get faster in some standpoints, but at the end of the day, it's hard to just do little things. The MLB wants to do everything at once. So this year they got voted out of improving some speed things because they want to do so much at one time. So I just think it's going to take a couple of years for the MLB to get faster, but I think eventually it will. Like they said, I don't think I have to say anything more. The mound visits, they need to limit that per game.
It gets annoying as a baseball purist, running to the mound, especially when the game's close, after every pitch is annoying. And it's just so unnecessary sometimes. Drives you crazy.
But I mean, we see NFL games that are 3 hours, and they shouldn't be. Considering
That's true.
it's
And that's a
They're on the
game.
clock.
That's a game. If you think of the NFL, 3 hours, and the average amount of action is about 11 minutes.
Mhm.
If you were to take the time that there's action happening, it's about 11 minutes, which is amazing. So,
agreed. The NFL does have bigger problems.
And
than
if
the NFL.
and if you're a big baseball fan, I'm going to say this real quick. If you're a big baseball fan, why would you only want to be at a baseball game that you pay almost $100 to go to be there for 2 hours? You know what I mean? You want to enjoy your time at a baseball game.
I don't
If
know.
you're gonna
I don't know about that one.
If you're gonna
Disagreed.
if you're gonna spend money on a game because you want to enjoy it with your family, you would probably try to be there as long as you could to enjoy the game, see these players, and just enjoy your time. Why would you want to be at a game for an hour and a half, 2 hours? Like, enjoy your time. You're only gonna go to a game maybe once, twice a year. So
yeah. I think that at the games, at the ballparks, they're doing everything possible to keep the attention span of the kids. They're doing all kinds of things in between innings. New baseball parks have obviously all kinds of things that kids can do, bouncy houses, throwing balls, right? They got all kinds of things. They got sections specifically for kids. So Major League Baseball understands that. They're trying to get more people to the ballpark and making more of a family fun atmosphere even for a lot of kids. So from a ballpark's perspective, I think they're trying to do a lot of things like that. From watching it on TV, for us watching is a little bit different. So,
All right. I think let's answer this. The guys have fun. That's true. I do agree the MLB needs to let the guys have fun. You know, do what they
Yeah.
want.
Chad,
I like the NFL. They don't let them express themselves. I feel like enough, but
well, they're
That's another
starting to
conversation.
obviously change that a little bit. But it's true. Baseball's always been that way too. You celebrate too much, you're going to get plunked. Unless you're playing in the right international, tournament that they have, where the Spanish countries are just used to celebrating a lot, just being very outgoing with their celebration. It does make it a lot
and the
more
tournament's
fun.
a lot more fun.
It's
to
a lot
watch.
more fun to watch. It really is. So, yeah, I agree. They could definitely back up, and some of these pitchers need to stop being so tight about it. And if you give up a home run, they celebrate. So what? When you strike them out next time, celebrate, because you're going to get them out more times than they hit a home run anyways.
yeah.
All right, guys. So I think that is it for our longest episode so far. Almost a 2-hour episode. It was fun. We enjoyed it. Thank you, Facebook Live, for tuning in. Obviously, check us out every Sunday, 7 to 7:30. We'll keep you guys posted. It's always going to be around 7. We'll post on Facebook. Make sure to check out our YouTube page where we'll post highlights from each segment on our page. Check out SoundCloud for the whole thing.
Yeah. And do us a favor, everybody. I know you guys on Facebook. I didn't say it while we were on, but share the video. Right there should be a button somewhere on your screen that says share. Share it on your page. If you like tuning in, you're supporting us. We appreciate the feedback. That's right. Next week is the Super Bowl, so the time
We'll probably
that
have
we come
to
on
be
will
earlier.
probably be
Earlier.
either earlier, right, than the Super Bowl, or later. And I'm assuming it might be earlier, but we'll decide that next week. Thanks for bringing that up, because next week is the Super Bowl.
We'll probably be an early episode next week, but make sure to like our Facebook page at Family Chats. This guy will link it in the comments. Make sure you guys like that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on SoundCloud. It helps us out a lot. So
I must get. I'm gonna read this comment from Steven because it cracks me up, Steven. By the way, Freddie just wanted to give you a shout out as the best hitter ever played with and against New Jersey. Let the guys know how you crushed the homer off me when I was trying to intentionally walk you.
he's told me that story a bunch of times.
I've actually told my son that story because it was a pretty cool moment, but thanks for bringing it up. Chad, I'm in Tampa this week. Let's go do another special edition.
Angel
hit
will
us
be
up.
gone. Angel will be gone next week, right?
Yeah.
Next week.
Next
and
week,
the
Angel will be
following
gone. We think we have a replacement host for next Sunday. We'll let you know more soon coming. Someone blood, maybe Chad if he's in Tampa next Sunday. Maybe we can get Chad on. But like us, subscribe to us, follow us, everything. That's it.
We'll be on Facebook, like you said, SoundCloud with the podcast, YouTube.
All family chats.
So
all
know,
family
it's
chats.
all under family chats. We're just having a good time. we named it Family Chats for a reason, right? We're family here, and we say that it brings the family together because that's what it's doing. It's giving us some quality time together. So with that said, God bless. Love you guys. Thanks for supporting us. We'll see you next week.
YouTube, check us out, like us, subscribe to us. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. We're out.